Cafe
Mike's Daily Podcast.
episode 2621, 2621, and Mike Matthews here at Podcastro Valley.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
At Cafe Anyway, Mike Matthews, and on my way home, I was driving, and I was really doing something called being aliving, and I was trying to get home, and then there was a bunch of people doing thing that people does, and that is they were asking for money at a stoplight.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
But it was a bunch of teenagers, and they were all with these matching
Mike's
t-shirts,
Daily
and they had buckets
Podcast.
that were matching the color
Yeah!
of their t-shirts, and they were walking in and out of all these cars. All these cars stop at this one spot, and there's no place for the cars to go because it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock. Everybody's driving home in the Bay Area, so they got nowhere to go. And these kids seizing on this are walking around, they're screaming, they're going, hey, what's going on? Waving at you. And they got their buckets, and they want you to give them money. It's for some kind of charity because there's like a charity on their shirt. But the thing is, there's a sign right next to where they're doing all this that says, solicitations prohibited, because of situations like this where they're walking in and out of traffic and they could get hit by a car because people are distracted. They're distracted enough as it is. And suddenly there's all these people walking in and out of traffic. Traffic that's even moving. It's not just stopped. It's actually moving. And like I had to swerve around a couple of kids that were carrying buckets, and they're shouting and screaming and being distractive. So I called it in. And then the guy I was talking to, he had the same name as me. So I had a John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt moment. His name was my name too. It's episode 2621.
And here's today's podcast picture.
It's not of the kids walking in and out of traffic, acting all cool because they're like, hey, we're raising money for a good cause. But we're also breaking the law. That allows, one thing cancels out the other, right? You can break the law if you're raising money for a charity. Oh, it's fun being young. So the podcast picture is of some cool clouds yesterday. We actually had rain today in the morning. Here it is June, and we're still getting rain. So see that picture at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Some bizarre clouds. The late great Basil the Boxer. He probably would be happy with raising money for some charities like humane societies, animal shelters that are no-kill animal shelters, that kind of thing. I'm sure he'd be good with that. The late great Basil the Boxer. You know, I have a thing here at Cafe Anyway. It's called a seat. I'm sitting at a table here at Cafe Anyway is what the thing is I am at. But yes, there's some interesting stuff that I found out about. One of them is Howard Hughes. Oh, yes. So I used to work with a gal in Alabama named Mecca Music. And she worked in radio, did a lot of interviews for news stations. And I don't know if this guy is related to her. But yeah, her last name was Music, but not spelt like music, spelt, I think, with a K. And she, one time, I think the first time I ever ate deer, she goes, my dad, he shot a deer and made deer jerky out of it. You want some? It was delicious. But this guy is named Major General Retired Mark Music. I don't know if he's related to her, but I got this email. It says, the mysterious later years of Howard Hughes' life is now explained. Hughes was described as a 90-pound pitiful man with long fingernails who was declared mentally incompetent in 1974. Did you see the Leonardo DiCaprio movie that came out, I think, 20 years ago? And they showed some of this in that movie. And Kate Blanchett played Katharine Hepburn. That's right. Oh, you silly little poop. That's what she said in On Golden Pond, I think. Anyway, this goes on to say, Cafe Anyway. Was this the disgusting end of Howard Hughes' life in 1976? No, it was not. It says in all caps. The person who died in 1976 was a stand-in for Hughes. Howard hid for another 25 years with the support of the government, his fabulous wealth, and a woman he loved and trusted. So apparently this guy has written a book all about it. Hughes wanted to escape and how it was achieved until his actual death in 2001. The story is told by his wife, Eva McClelland, who kept his secret until his passing, at which time she was ready to reveal the truth. Eva chose to tell Major General retired Mark Music. Awesome. Or as Mecca Music would say, awesome, awesome. It's my birthday, y'all. That's what we went out with her on her birthday one day in 2007. It was one of the craziest experiences in Huntsville, Alabama, to go out partying with Mecca Music and her then husband, Brooke. Memories. Okay. I got one other interesting thing here. Apparently, the stock market has done pretty well. Apple kicked off its Worldwide Developers Conference, and it revealed its virtual reality headset. Stock didn't do too well when it was first introduced. I don't know how it did today, but oil prices are rising after Saudi Arabia pledged more voluntary production cuts to 9 million barrels per day. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth.
Anyway.
So they cut to 9 million from 10 million. Saudi's energy minister revealed Moderna's cancer vaccine and Merck's Keytruda reduced the risk of melanoma spreading to other parts of the body or death by 65% compared to Keytruda alone. And Amazon has been talking with wireless carriers about offering low-cost or possibly free nationwide mobile phone service to Prime subscribers. My lovely lady friend first told me about that, and I passed that along to you on Saturday's podcast, I think it was. The last podcast, Sunday's podcast, was Hugs. It was called Hugs. Hugs, not drugs. And it featured a picture of my lovely lady friend and my cat Rocky, where I don't know where he went, but we went to the beach with him. This was a couple months back, and that was the last podcast picture. And Spotify has laid off 200 employees, or about 2% of its workforce. It's part of a pivot in its podcast strategy. And speaking of which, I did get an email from Spotify just today. It says Spotify for Podcasters Master Class, Unlocking Your Podcast Potential. And apparently this is happening June 14th. Join us for a live first look at the new Spotify for Podcasters Masterclass series. Go behind the scenes with product experts and creators to learn how to get the most of your podcast home base. I don't know. Spotify is really banking on podcasters. They really believe in it. And they're doing things like, hey, are you just a video blogger, a vlogger? If you are, instead of just uploading to YouTube, where they'll probably cancel you and deplatform you, just take your video and upload it to Spotify. We'll turn it into a podcast that people can listen to. So a lot of people that just do video only, do the vlogging, they're checking it out and they're trying it out. So all that information about, well, Spotify and Amazon and Moderna. That came from Rob Black. I produce his podcast, Rob Black and Your Money. He gets really in there with all kinds of stories that he finds. And he also had this, Apple's Reality One virtual reality. Is it a flop or a game changer? The goggles will be more like cool innovations like the iPhone or Walkman, or more of an unfulfilled promise like flying cars or robot butlers?
The front panel will close automatically.
That's what he was asking. Now, I heard something about it today. There were some people on the radio that were really excited about it. But what's interesting is, you remember there was something about 20 years back called Google Glass? And Google was trying to make these glasses that would connect to the internet. And that just got creepy, and people didn't like it. And that ended up being a flop. Other famous flops include, in virtual reality, Nintendo's Virtual Boy. Facebook 9 years ago paid $2 billion for Oculus and Horizon Worlds. $2 billion. And now, guess how many monthly active users they have? Fewer than 200,000. So that did not pan out well for Facebook. In 2015, Microsoft took a chance and they did the HoloLens. Magic Leap raised $3.5 billion and went nowhere. And in Snapchat, they had something called Snap Spectacles, and they don't exist anymore. Apple will launch the goggles, which sounds a lot like Google, doesn't it? With lots of apps, and in colleges will try to figure out the best uses from city planning to entertainment.
You will travel into the incredible universe.
And the uses include group work, where students can experiment in a safer environment than handling chemicals. You can save on your budget with virtual field trips. You can go to the Super Bowl with 50-yard line tickets. Or you could see U2. Or I hear Garbage is playing in the Bay Area. Or some other famous band that you love, or artist, Taylor Swift. Perhaps you don't want to forget the concert this time. Don't remember it. You got amnesia? You could just go see it virtually. See Taylor virtually. I guess she broke up with her boyfriend today. Or the news came out that she's no longer dating the guy from the 1975. So you can do all this. Virtual reality is popular in architecture and design education. Magnification. And there's this thing called Time Looper, which is a free application that gives an intimate look into the life of those who fought during World War I. So it's a way to explore history in a first-hand sort of way. Magnification. And who knows, maybe your favorite movie will get turned into some kind of virtual reality. Spider-Man returned to the big screen, by the way, this weekend. They got an estimated $120.5 million in the U.S. It was a sequel to the Academy Award-winning Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It had the second biggest opening of 2023. Number one was another animated type film, Super Mario Brothers movie, that came out a little while ago. It is the third best opening weekend for any Spider-Man film, animated or live action. Summer is off to a strong box office opening season. Disney's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that got about $322 million, and globally $780.1 million. And The Little Mermaid, that remake, $326.7 million globally. Year-to-date domestic box office tally stands at around $3.6 billion, just 21.9% behind pandemic levels. Really? That's not good. If it's still, the pandemic, pre-pandemic, sorry. Pandemic, we weren't even going to the movies during the pandemic. We had to watch it all at home. So yeah, pre-pandemic levels, it's just 21.9%. So the 2023 box office so far this year is about 27.9% above the same period a year ago. Outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Look who's here.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Well, I really enjoy movies that are about spiders, Mike Matthews.
No, this is movies about Spider-Man. You know, like the Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire. Or the Holland guy.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mike Matthews. I like Charlotte's Web.
Oh, okay. Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Wow, Mike, that was very fascinating stuff. Are you okay? Yeah, I was just saying it's fascinating stuff. Wow. You keep making that strange noise, and I get concerned. No, it's okay. I'm okay. You're okay. Whoa. One last thing. Sonic Drive-In. I drive by a Sonic Drive-In every day. It is always so tempting. I used to go quite a bit. And you know what's interesting? Their cups survive going through the dishwasher. It's very strong plastic they use. Or they used to use. I don't know if they still... I haven't gone in a while. Because my doc said, no. That's not good. And then I was also hooked on Burger King because they kept sending me these coupons. So I would eat there a lot. I haven't eaten there since December. I got COVID. I got really sick back in December. And I had also a doctor's appointment already planned. So I did it virtually. And I talked to my doctor. And she was talking to me all about, getting through COVID. And I could take that medicine that was supposed to help, Paxlovid, is that it? I could take that to help me, but I said no, because everyone I know that's taken it, they didn't recover so well. Well, either way, I still took a long time to recover from COVID, but she said to me, Mike, looking at your statistics here and the possibility of you having some serious heart issues and cholesterol issues down the road, I would suggest you do not eat at Burger King anymore. So I don't. But what's interesting is I'm watching the show Beef on Netflix, and the guy who has the road rage incident with the lady, he is eating all this Burger King stuff. Like, he's addicted to those chicken sandwiches, and he eats like 5 of them. But he drives an hour and a half to get to this one spot where he buys the food and he eats it. And I thought to myself, nope, this is just reinforcing me not wanting to eat there again. Sorry, Burger King people. But Sonic, on the other hand, they have donated over $55,000 to schools in the greater San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose area, all part of Teacher Appreciation Month. That was actually last month, but they donated $1.5 million to support local education across the country. In honor of May's Teacher Appreciation Month, their Sonic Foundation donated to match all public contributions and made to request on donors choose a national nonprofit that allows individuals to donate directly to public school classroom requests submitted by teachers. And they also have something called Lime Aids for Learning. That's a big thing Sonic has. I don't really like their lime aids. You can get different flavors. It gives me a headache. I did it twice in Alabama. I remember, so hot. It gets so humid in Alabama. And I went, and there's Sonics everywhere. So I stop at one. They have their happy hour. So I got it like half price. And it gave me a headache twice. So I stay away from them now. Love their shakes, though. That's why I stay away from them, as per what the doc said. But the $1.5 million donation matched 50% of each donation made to all teacher requests. This is the Lime Aids for Learning. And Sonic helped fully fund nearly 15,300 projects from teachers and schools across the country, including schools in Oakland, San Jose, and San Francisco. They did that. Got an email from them about that. So outside a cafe anyway, I want to thank you for listening to the show. If you would like to chime in about anything we covered today, you can call me at 510, because we are in the East Bay, 228-4640. That's 510-228-4640. And with more ways to reach me, it is a friend.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
And thank you for listening to Mike's Daily Podcast, FF episode 2621. I will not be able to bring you a podcast for a couple of days because there's a lot of stuff going on in the radio world that demands my time. But if I can, I will try and bring you a new one. But until then, go back and listen to some of the older ones. They're so much fun. And there's podcast pictures too. All of that at MikesDailyPodcast.com.